Last year, I released a top list of animated series, and I was looking forward to doing one for this year, but unfortunately, I didn't watch that many shows this year, mostly because of burnout, time, and school-related matters. But I did sit through a fair number of series, just considerably less than last year. So I opted to do a relatively short list of favorites, while also providing a short list of least favorites for the sake of your entertainment. But I do want to highlight some of the good shows that didn't make it into my top 3, so let's quickly go through my honorable mentions. The series finale of Amphibia was excellent. I love the final battle, and it has one of the best penultimate episodes in any series. I want to finish Princess Connect. Halfway through season 2, I just stopped watching it, but I want to get back into it. I want to finish the series. I love it. It's criminally underrated. The Cuphead show was fun. I really enjoyed Smiling Friends. Its dry humor was very welcome. I love The Ghost of Molly McGee. It is so much fun. I recommend it to everyone. Komi Can't Communicate is still an amazing adaptation of the manga. So is Spy X Family, which was one of the biggest anime of all year. I'm really looking forward to the cruise ship arc. Akabe Sailor Uniform took me by surprise. I loved all of it. It's one of the few inspirational Muse waifu setups that I can actually stand. And I still champion Vampire in the Garden as one of the underrated gems of 2022. It is a beautiful friendship story contained in 5 perfectly paced episodes. Alright, with that out of the way, let's get on with my favorites and least favorites of the year. And bear in mind, I want to keep the editing light just for the sake of my sanity. Here we go.
Tomorrow, the next day, something's waiting in the future. A little light in the darkness.
The Heike Story. I guess this is how I make up for the unreleased retrospect. The Heike Story is a series about the fall of the Heike clan, viewed from the eyes of a child who can see into the future named Biwa. It is a masterclass of historical fiction. Even if it did take its own unique direction, it was still faithful by giving off a rather archaic feel, allowing its reception to be generally overwhelmingly positive. It is beauty, heartbreak, history, and authenticity rolled into a complete package. The story feels very montagey, which does kind of muddle a lot of the middle of the story, but from beginning to end, it is downright charming. Biwa's dynamics with the other characters are fantastic, and Naoko Yamada's directing is amazing as always. Every frame feels genuine and endearing, not needlessly saturated in bright colors or drowned out in a depressing grayscale. It is visually astounding. I love all of it. Just go see Heike Story. It's beautifully presented and it's charming to the end. Big Nate. I'll admit I didn't see a whole lot of bad shows this year, nor did I want to see any. These bottom 3 are pretty much the only bad shows I watched. Even then, I dreaded this series mainly because of one thing. It's based on a comic series. I wouldn't call myself a huge fan of the books and comics, but I found myself reading the source material quite a lot. And because of that, I found this series' look, characters, and vibe incredibly disappointing. The visuals look muddy and watered down, the atmosphere is gross instead of hilariously cynical like the original comic run, and the characters are straight up not the same. Nate is now obnoxious and annoying instead of the clever yet bumbling narcissist he was in the original comics. Chad is insufferably dumb instead of charmingly lovable. Francis and Teddy are way too loyal as friends, but far and away the worst adapted character in the series is Dee Dee, because in comparison to how dramatic and out of line she was in the original comics and books, she's so tame and ultimately generic in this show. As a series by itself, its writing is boring, and as an adaptation, this show sucks.
In 2077, what makes someone a criminal? Getting caught.
The 3rd season of Metarunner. Okay, where do I start with this? The entire Metarunner series revolves around Tari, an incredibly shy girl who wakes up in Silica City, a civilization built around video games. She teams up with a video game character, a mechanic, a weeb, and an edgelord to take down a corrupt corporation led by people who exploit their workers. Though in the 3rd season it kind of drops that premise after its shocking season 2 finale, and the stakes get significantly higher with a new villain who is admittedly not as good as Lux, Lux, but is way more unhinged and crazy. The majority of the season takes place in the game Skybreakers, which is a lot of fun to explore as a world, and the fights are incredible. And the emotional beats are kind of devastating. I'll admit, I didn't love everything about the season. Tone-wise, this is probably the most inconsistent, and again, the villain is a little disappointing given how genuinely threatening Lux was. Yet Season 2 is still my favorite out of the series, but Meta Runner still holds a special place in my heart with its messages about friendship and the lengths we will go to protect the ones we love.
I hate you.
Scrat Tales. Every single episode is the same. Scrat and his kid fight over the nut. They come to an understanding, then they fight over the nut again. It is boring, tiring, and tedious. At least Nemona was rescued.
Well, you know what's better than hide and seek? A game called the Owl House.
The Owl House. It warms my heart to finally say that this show is the best of the year, because in 2020, the first season wasn't exactly good enough to top Arachito Shimamura, and in 2021, Aquatopan White Sand just had to get really good really fast. But this year is finally the year where Owl House wins. Season 2B is probably the best batch of episodes we've ever gotten, with plenty of cute and funny moments, while also containing some of the darkest and most bleak scenes and imagery in any cartoon. Luz has turned from a joy to watch to such a heartbreaking and tragic protagonist with so much on her mind. The lore and story are incredibly fun and interesting to explore, and the artwork of the series is still breathtaking, and the action is kind of boss. We also had the first of the 3 specials, which was amazing. That fight with Bellows was awesome. This is still my favorite non-anime show, followed by Sunset Paradise, and it is certainly worth your time if you've not checked it out yet.
Well, this team mostly formed to...
That's right, we're all about
My dress-up darling. Now, obviously, this isn't the worst show of the year. There were a ton of other worse shows that I just didn't bother to watch for my own sanity. With that said, I don't think I have ever felt this angry watching something. Not with Buck Wild, not with any of last year's shows, not with the finale of BFB, and not even Ocean Waves, which admittedly came pretty close. Now that might sound a bit harsh given its premise of 2 artists finding passion in their interests, is what I would say if this was actually that kind of story, but instead it's just another manic pixie dream girl changes the life of a loner, which I have said I am not a huge fan of, but oh boy, this was so far down that I would like to formally apologize for every time I poked fun at I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, because even though I didn't really like how standard the story was in that movie, it at least had heart in its main bond and its main message, whereas here there is nothing to gain. There is some interesting trivia about cosplay, but those only come up once in a while and not enough to be a proper love letter to cosplay. It does have something to say about the gender divide in hobbies, but all that's just relegated to a monologue Maureen spouts out in the first episode and then never again. Subtlety? What's that? There are some genuinely sweet romantic moments, but all of them get buried under an endless pile of fan service that the show mistakes for comedy. Oh yeah, have I mentioned that the series can't go 3 minutes without shoving boobs in your face? And to top it all off, Maureen is insufferable. By definition, she has no character arc, she constantly gets up in people's faces without concern for them, and her depiction as an overly giggly, bombastic, love-showering, obnoxiously cute cosplay GF is hollow, artificial, boring, and above all, problematic. This show is the entity of pathetic, saccharine wish fulfillment that sacrifices compelling characters and writing for shallow fantasies. Now, it succeeds in a few areas, but as a series you can watch with others, as a comfort show, as an expression of artistic merit that you can experience and take anything away from, this show is better off forgotten. Now, I know that ending the video off here would be a little dismal, so there's no denying that we got a lot of great shows this year, some of which I really wanted to see but never got the opportunity to. I really did want to watch Love is War, but nonetheless, I'm interested to hear what your favorite animated shows of the year were down in the comments below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell. Thank you for watching, and catch you next time.